We look at charts and they have all of these different parts, right? And as soon as you look at them, the one, especially if you cast them with the lines already, they give you a different impression. So those lines are really, it's like they're really the central part of the complexity of interpretation. Some look like they're full of red lines, right? Others much less so, right? Others just have lots of aspects from one set to another. This is that. That's Gordon Ramsay, actually. That's very, I don't know. Like sometimes you just get a sense of them too, like when you look at all the all the lines. But the point here is that natal chart is complex, right? And when we try to look at, even when we try to look at just one planet at a time, we'll see this. This is typical, right? It's incredibly common that one planet has more than one aspect. And so the program is really trying to help us untangle that knot of the natal chart. It's like I said, 1 year program with 12 modules and monthly calls and content. So it's not going to be every day of the 12 months of the year, but there's a rhythm here where every month there's going to be a rhythm. Why aspects? Why did we decide that this is really the place that we need to dive deeper? And again, this is the idea that without aspects, we only have these disparate planets in signs and houses, which make sense in isolation, but really remain disconnected from one another. And so this is the kind of the pillar in interpretation that really brings the natal chart to life, that really helps us understand how everything bridges together and how the chart starts to work more as a system, right? Not as separate placements. Yeah, so ultimately, the aim of the course really is to help you learn to better interpret the underlying structure that connects the main themes of the chart. And this is how we are separating it out. So each month, we deep dive into a specific aspect. Okay, we're going to analyze the distinct qualities of the aspect, and then we interpret it in the context of the natal chart placement, right? So in planets, in signs, in houses. And we practice with chart examples and exercises. So a lot of the work is it's the combination of both learning, teaching the structural underlying qualities of each aspect, but then giving yourself time for practice and integration. And then in the second half of the year, that's where we're really shifting more to the aspect patterns, understanding how they start to work together and how their separate geometry really starts to impact the whole chart. Ultimate goal here is to learn to come up with more meaningful interpretation by really forcing the practice of integrative learning, right? Of practicing and seeing how the different parts come together. We'll work on building that aspect interpretation muscle, right, piece by piece, starting with the meaning of aspect, then practicing different planetary combinations, and then seeing how they manifest differently through different signs and houses. Okay, and this is here we go, find the monthly activities. It's 12 months long, and every month we have at least these series of activities. So at the start of the month, you get a pre-recorded video and transcript that gives you the fundamental theory and understanding of the meaning of the aspect. Then a few days or a week later, I'll do a live webinar, where I get us applying and digesting the theory. Okay, so we'll look at how different planetary combinations manifest. We'll look at how different categories of planets manifest differently in aspect, right? These are the deep dive interpretation fests. And then there's exercises and prompts on the online community. So where you start practicing your own interpretation, where you start applying the information to your own chart or to the charts that you're trying to understand better, right? So you work with your own chart on the chart of others. You can ask questions there and you start working to apply the information you've learned. And then towards the end of the month, there's another live webinar held by another of our excellent astrologers, Deborah, and that one's more interactive and it's meant to give you an opportunity to practice interpretation together. And this is a course that's going to be hosted inside the Age of Aquarius community platform, which I know we've got people here who've already been in the platform. So when you sign up for the course, you have a full year's access to the platform, where, by the way, there's a ton of other information, including old webinars that you can watch, posts on other astrological topics that you can search. So that's like additional bonus material that you have access to. but it's in this platform where again there's a lot there's activity that you can write questions, you can interact. So it has so there's this forum space basically is the idea. In fact, yeah, I'm wondering, is there anybody here who has been part of the Age of Aquarius community or has participated in our other year-long courses that has, and if you'd like to share anything about those? Well,
I have been.
yeah.
I've
Good.
taken a couple of courses, and it totally transformed my view on astrology. I'm 80 years old, and I've been dabbling in astrology since I was 18. And until I took the courses, I really couldn't connect everything in a cohesive manner. I just find them fabulous. And I like the fact that I can just dip into it when I can. I make a living as a potter, so I don't always have, the time to be right there when it's happening. But I absolutely love it. I recommend it for anyone. I know I've signed up for this class, but I'm snowed in Tahoe, and I don't have any Wi-Fi, so I'm have to drive down to a market where I can have Wi-Fi to pay. I signed up for it, but it won't complete because I have no Wi-Fi.
Uh, well, thank you so much G, for your comments.
So anyway, that's what I have to say.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I think this is thank you. I appreciate that. And th this idea of integration is really something that we really do try to push and and it's true. It's like yeah, the astrology is complex, right? There are a lot of elements. And so there is something about just practicing interpretation, right? Like practicing taking a look at different things, seeing how things manifest in different charts. It starts to get some of the mystique out of astrology and help you figure out how to apply it in a much more concrete way. The program begins on March 3rd. First live webinar by me is March 8th. First online workshop will be towards the end of the month. These are the dates. The webinars, they vary. My webinars vary because I like to keep it fresh. I don't it's the idea is that so that you can, not everyone is free on a Friday. Some people are free on a Tuesday or whatever. So and we are going to offer them at 2 time zones. So we are really trying to make this global friendly because I know that we have some students who are um, and other time zones. I'm in the UK, so both times are always UK time, but these are kind of some of the first dates.